yesterday, of course, it became official. The baseball writers voted in the largest Hall of Fame class since 1955. Randy Johnson, Pedro Martinez, John Smoltz, and Craig Biggio will all be inducted in Cooperstown this summer, and they're all here in our studio today. Guys, thank you so much for being here. Of course, we have our Hall of Famer, Bill Madden, along with us as well. And we just have to ask right off the bat, for me, you guys are all going to be in Hall of Fames. I'm not in anything. What does this feel like? Everybody had to have been thinking about what this day was going to be like when they got the call. What did it feel like when you got the call?
Well, it was a great honor. It was humbling. It was surprising a little bit to me. I wasn't expecting the call to be so early. And at the
what
same
time did it come?
It came like probably 10 minutes before it was supposed to, so it caught me by surprise. I was having lunch, and they told me in 15 minutes you might get the call if you are getting it. But I was also hesitant because in '99 I was in the same place expecting an MVP, and the call never came. So.
You were worried it might be a repeat.
Yeah.
You know, honestly, for me, I was prepared for the journey and however long it took. I mean, everyone brought up my name for a lot of reasons and years. I just didn't know if this year would be the year, and I never let myself think that way. And when I got the call, I was actually pretty calm, mainly because once you get the call and you hear the news, you got to be quiet for about 20 minutes till the real news comes out.
Randy?
For me, getting the phone call, you know, I'm hoping for the best. Obviously, it's a great honor, and to be amongst the best that I've ever played. And when I got it, just like no other feeling I've ever really experienced, just knowing that you're going to, and it still probably hasn't quite sunk in for any of us. I can't speak for them, but it hasn't really sunk in yet. And I suppose when I get to Cooperstown in July, and I'm with my fraternity brothers again, and amongst all my other ones that are sitting behind me, and I'm in front of a huge crowd of baseball fans, I suppose then I'll be more nervous than any game I've ever pitched, because then at that point I think it will really sink in.
That's interesting. More nervous than a game you pitched. Craig, what was your reaction?
I'll be honest with you. Last year, and coming 2 votes short, I mean, I was totally fine. I was calm. Nothing was going on. I was like hoping that the phone rang, and it didn't. And then you find out you're 2 shorts vote. You were two votes shy, whatever. But this year, I was nervous. I was
really
anxious, like more so than I was for any ever baseball game. 12 o'clock couldn't get here soon enough. And then when the call came, my boys were back from school. My daughter, we kept her out of school, hoping that maybe we got a phone call. It was pretty emotional. I'm not going to lie. I mean, it was kind of being so close the year before. You're hoping that you transcend in, you know, getting over the 75%. And then, I mean, look, you know, you're in the Hall of Fame, man. We're pinching ourselves. This is crazy, you know?
Right. Everybody's got to be, I would imagine, floating on air. I mean, Bill, you had that similar experience. You guys have all been floating on air all day, I would imagine.
No doubt. I mean, I don't even know what time it is. I don't even know what city we're in. And I hope it's not a dream.
Go ahead, Bill.
Well, Craig, I know there was one person in particular who is so thrilled and delighted that you made the Hall of Fame, and he's a Hall of Famer himself and probably the biggest sports figure in New York right now, and that's Yogi Berra. Kind of tell us a little bit about your relationship with Yogi, because I know you're a very special guy to him.
Yeah, Yogi's a dear friend. Yogi was on the coaching staff my first 3 years in the big leagues, and John McMullen, the original owner, my first original owner, and Yogi Berra were best friends. And then Clary Anderson was a legendary scout in New Jersey. Clary's the one that drafted me, but John McMullen and Yogi Berra came and watched me play in college before they drafted me. Then I'd have the opportunity to go to Houston and be with Yogi. Yogi he's just a great man. He's just in all honesty, he's the smartest baseball man I've ever been around.
Did you go over and visit him?
I went over. We came back for the holidays,
right.
And I told Matt Galante that I said, Matt, we got to go see Yogi. You know, I mean, you know, he's almost 90. We need to go see him. So we went and saw him, and it was great. I mean, he had a good day. Actually, we talked to him today beforehand, before we started our day and everything like that. And again, Yogi he's an amazing man. He's a great person and a great friend.
And you know, and all you guys with New York ties, you're a native New Yorker. You guys played here. You beat a lot of New York teams in your time. Reflect back on, you know, for you, I mean, you were with the Mets. How does that factor into your career? Obviously, it's a footnote to what you did in Boston, but how does that factor into everything for you?
Well, it was great for me here in New York. I did not want to leave New York. I wanted to actually pay tribute to how faithful the Mets were to me and the fans. the fan base here really, really showed me that New York has another side to it. And
well, because the other half of the fans were yelling at you for years.
well, yeah, but when I came in with Boston, it was one thing. They like Lavin said, if you don't feel well, fake it. That's what the fans on the other side did. They were yelling and calling me all kinds of names and who's your daddy and who's your daddy. But then once I came to the Mets, everything changed. They said, well, we hated facing you, but then we love you. We respect you so much. And those fans from there will come over sometimes and see me pitch here for the Mets. And it was great. We built a great relationship. I knew that New York had something that kind of clicked with me. How wild they were when they were not in games. And when they were in games, they were lovely. They were passionate and they know their game. It was beautiful, my time here in New York.
And Randy, you spoke today, and I think a lot of people who don't know up close your situation in New York maybe thought you didn't like it very much, but you spoke today how you really enjoyed it very much. Great story with Tom Seaver carrying your bags.
Well, that was when I got traded from Montreal in '89, myself and Brian Holman we had joined the team, but we couldn't show ourselves yet because they hadn't opened up a spot on the roster. And then eventually my start was going to be here at Yankee Stadium. So I was getting out of the cab in front of Yankee Stadium where all the visiting players do, had all my bags from Montreal with me, and I'm pitching that day going through the players' parking lot holding my bags, and I hear a voice behind me yelling, "Tiger, Tiger." Well, that is a symbolic gesture that came from our college coach, Rod Dato, the legendary coach at USC baseball, and he always called everybody that played for him Tiger. And I don't know if that's because he forgot everybody's name there and it was just easier to call everybody Tiger. But when anybody ever yells Tiger to me or I hear Tiger, I'm assuming that's someone that played at USC. And so I'm walking in with my bags and I'm hearing someone yell Tiger. So I look around, it's Tom Seaver. And he goes, "Tiger, you can't be carrying your bags and you're pitching today." So I had the legendary Tom Seaver help me carry my bags in. And, it was a great day with that happening. And then had gotten my first American League win against the New York Yankees.
No, it's a pretty good right arm to be carrying in your bags and being your valet. Just wondering, Craig, was there ever a time during your playing career where you said, wait a second, I got a real shot at being a Hall of Famer? Did anything ever dawn on you while you were playing?
No, never. I'm not going to. I mean, I love to play the game. I grew up an hour from here. I mean, the hardest part was trying to get off the island, to go play somewhere, right? And for me, no, I just love to play the game, and it was just, that's the thing that motivated me, was just playing it, enjoying it, and I would have played it for free, and we got paid to do what we love to do. So I never dreamt about getting in the Hall of Fame. What I only dreamt about was being a good teammate, a good role model, and hopefully, taking our franchise to the World Series, in which we were the first Texas team to ever do that, and take a lot of pride in that. So, but there was never an inclination that you try to become a Hall of Famer. You're just playing the game to try to get a World Series ring and bring something special to a city. But then as you get older and you're going down the road, you go, man, maybe it'll happen, maybe not. Like Pedro was saying, we don't look at ourselves that way, but at the end of the day, it kind of worked out.
Did it ever dawn on you, John, moving back and forth between starting and relieving? You're just there to win. I know that, do what's best for the team. Does it ever creep into your mind how it affects how people look at your career?
Not really, because I only cared what my manager thought, and obviously the Braves. I wanted to play my whole career with the Braves, almost did. But I think the biggest thing is, had I wanted to make the Hall of Fame, once I made the change, I would have never gone back to starter. Because then there would have been some attainable numbers that would have put me in rarefied air. I really never cared about that because I would answer those questions consistently throughout my career, and then everyone would call me crazy for going back to starter after going and making that transition. So for me, much like these guys, look, 14 straight years in the postseason wasn't enough for me. I wanted it every year. I was greedy. Only one championship wasn't enough. Thankfully, we got the one, but I think back of playing, I only thought about one thing. How can we help our team, whatever jersey I'm winning, win a baseball game?
See, I would maintain that the fact that you went from starting to the relieving and then back to starting and then led the league in wins when you went back to starting had a big part in you getting into the Hall of Fame on the first shot.
And it may have, you know, with the combination of probably the postseason, but that's how much I cared about what the team's best needs were. The story goes, I didn't really want to be a closer. I did it. This guy could have been a closer. This guy could have been a closer, no doubt. A lot of the superstars that played in that, has been in the Hall of Fame, could have been closers. The thing is, you're sacrificing a lot what you love, and you're giving and you're risking a lot of what you know. And 14 years, 2,000 innings, then going to the bullpen, there's no manual to speed that up. I enjoyed it. It was a tremendous challenge. But when it was provided to me or presented to me 3 years later, what makes you guys better? I thought me back in the rotation made us better, so I did it.
You know, it's interesting. All of you guys, you don't think of it now, you're Hall of Famers, but you all had unique challenges. You were too tall, so everybody's worried you couldn't repeat your delivery. You were too small, so no one thought you could hold up. Is it funny to look back at the early critiques of you and how you surpassed those now?
You know, it is amazing because I never thought that anything but one game in the big leagues will be more than that for me. I took every game because I wasn't supposed to be in the big leagues. I was too fragile. I couldn't pitch 5 innings in the big leagues, so
it's incredible.
What am I doing here?
Right.
And every game that I went out to pitch, every opportunity I had to do something in the game, was like my last day. Like my last day, because the people that knew about the game supposedly said that I would break down somewhere.
And everybody said that you couldn't repeat your delivery.
Well, I couldn't. They were right. Well, and that's why it took me so long to really get on track. You know, I fought myself throughout my college days at USC, through 4 minor league years. That was the organization's main job, was to get me on track. And it took 4 years, and then, even then, you know, when I got called up in '88 with Montreal, I made 4 starts and had an extremely exciting September. And then I got invited to come to '89 spring training, and it was a completely different Randy from '88. And then when I went to Seattle, it was tough. Just 6'10" wasn't meant to be a power pitcher. Maybe a finesse pitcher, maybe, but not a power pitcher. And eventually, with the input from a lot of wonderful people and support from coaching staff and players, and most of all, determination. You all have to have that. You know, you have to have the ability first. The only reason I stuck around in this game, or any organization let me stick around in their organization, was because I threw hard. You know,
right.
They saw something in me, and for that, I was able to stick around long enough and get on track.
It's interesting. I think if this Hall of Fame class does not prove that power pitching comes in all shapes and sizes, I don't know what does. Not to mention players who can play several different positions.